Jeff Berwick is the founder of The Dollar Vigilante, CEO of TDV Media and Services, and host of the popular video podcast Anarchast. He's a prominent speaker at many of the world's freedom, investment, and gold conferences, including his own Anarchapulco, as well as regularly in the media, including CNBC, Bloomberg, and Fox Business. He joins me today on the Power Market Report for Friday, July 15th. Here at FreedomFest 2016 with Jeff Berwick, a Dollar Vigilante. Jeff, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Excellent. So you just came out of a session. What were you talking about in there?
I was talking about decriminalizing all the things, including all drugs, which is the only moral thing to do. This war on drugs is one of the actual worst things that's happened to humanity in the last 50 years. And there's been a lot of bad things happen to humanity in the last 50 years. It's got to get rid of all this stuff, and it's just the only moral thing to do.
So this is my first Freedom Fest, but at a place like this, I would expect you to get absolutely no pushback on that. Is that how it went?
Yeah, actually, I asked at the beginning, I said, does anyone disagree that we should get rid of the war on drugs? No one. I was like, okay, we're done. But I kept talking for like 50 minutes, but no, no pushback. People are starting to wake up, even at Freedom Fest. So actually, Freedom Fest isn't a truly total free-minded place. It's not all anarchists. There's a lot of statists, a lot of conservatives, a lot of Randians, all sorts of different sects of freedom. The true freedom, of course, is anarchy. But I've seen the sway towards anarchy massive in the last few years. If I gave that speech 3 years ago, I would have been booed and people would be throwing stuff at me. Things are really changing.
Yeah, and aside from that, if it was an all libertarian anarchist conference, first it'd be bankrupt, so it'd be gone.
Not
and there'd be
necessarily.
No, yours aside. No, but the audience is so much bigger when you're inclusive, and
Yeah.
if the idea is to share ideas,
That's why I'm actually here. I only go to a few conferences a year now. I just can't do much more than that. And I actually like Freedom Fest because you have the opportunity to meet some of these other people who are pretty close to liberty,
right,
and try to give them a little bump in the ribs. Come on, freedom, anarchy. And you actually have that opportunity here. But like I said, 3-5 years ago, I was like an outcast here. And now everyone's like, yeah, of course. It's really happening really fast now. It's really great. It's beautiful to see.
You know, it's funny. So Tony and I were having dinner out there last night, and our waitress was talking to us, and we were asking her questions, and she's like, I'm liberal and conservative. And I said, what do you mean? Well, I'm conservative on gun control and taxes, but I'm liberal on free to choose abortion. She's a libertarian. We didn't get far enough, but basically it sounded like she was libertarian.
Yeah, absolutely. This whole libertarian movement has, most people don't know because they won't talk about it on the mainstream media too much. They'll say, oh, Ron Paul 10 years ago or 8 years ago. They'll say, oh yeah, it seems like a few people like him. It's like football stadiums of people. And then even Bernie Sanders, and I have to give him just like a little bit of props. Like he was like, he said, hey, this whole system's corrupt and we got to tear it down. And everyone's like,
by the way, vote for Hillary.
Well, yeah, that's where he like Ron Paul, when he got run out of it, because it's not an election, it's a selection. When he got run out of it, he never gave his approval to Mitt Romney or anything. But Bernie Sanders showed his true colors. That's why I said I give him just a little bit, because he was. But even what he said about the Federal Reserve, he's like, we got to audit the Federal Reserve. But he actually was one of the biggest people trying to stop that. So he's a total sellout. But the cool thing is people want change. They want this whole structure to be investigated, torn down, changed. That's the cool thing. They're trying to fight it, and actually my prediction is Hillary will be the next president. And then I don't really want to be around here for a while. But most people that I kind of meet, just like you met that waitress, they're kind of already getting there. There's a real shift happening.
Yeah, they just don't know about the movement.
Right.
So another example would be the Trump movement. Trump is sort of the other side, the mirror image of Bernie Sanders. He talks trash about the Fed, but really he just wants to put another one in Janet Yellen's place to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, Trump is similar to Sanders. He talks a good game about changing things. That's what Barack Obama did, right? Hope and change. That's what everyone does. That's the whole politics scam is Oh, we're going to make this entire system of slavery a little better for you slaves. Trump is not your typical political class, though. That's the interesting part about Trump. And I'm not saying I like him or anything, and you pointed out, like, he's pretty globalist, pretty in tune. Like, he doesn't want to even end the Fed. I want to put a different person as it's idiot, absolute idiot. I hope you guys send this to Trump. But the point of it is that Trump and Sanders were the top runners for a while. And they were both not your typical, they weren't Bushes, they weren't Clintons. People want change, they're not sure how to get it. And that's where we're here to help.
Right. Let's move on and talk about what's going on, because you're talking about globalism, sort of the collapse of globalism, at least these people fighting back.
Yes.
And the Brexit was, in many of our opinions, kind of a wonderful change in the sense that it was done peacefully, it was done through popular vote. People actually made a decision that they wanted out. You don't look convinced.
Well, I don't like any democracy. Democracy is evil. It's anti-freedom, obviously. 51% of people can tell 49% of people what to do, even kill them if they want. It's a crazy system. But Brexit was surprising. And that, again, goes to my sort of what I've been talking about, that people are waking up. So people in England were like, do we really want to be ruled by this technocracy? There's like 5 presidents. We don't even know who they are. We can't even vote for them. Not that democracy is good, but this is even worse. And enough people had an upswell that they managed to get the vote through. But I think they let it get through because, as I said earlier, all these things is Stalin who said, it doesn't matter who votes, it's who counts the votes. And that's actually the case. Like these people control everything. The people at the very top, we're not even talking Trump or Hillary or any of these people, the people who control them run things. But I think they couldn't stop it. If they stopped Brexit, there'd be such an outcry of anger that they would start to lose control. So I think they let them do it, and now they're going to create more crisis and chaos, and then say, okay, now you need big government again. Now you need the United Nations. Now you need a one world government. You need a one world currency after the euro collapses and all that.
Right. I mean, certainly the referendum is done, but Article 50 hasn't been invoked. I mean, they could reverse this. Yeah. They could not go through without reversing anything, just not act on it or have a general election stall. I think you're right. I think the playbook is to make the UK feel as much pain as possible, and then blame it on the fact that they don't want to be part of the collective.
That, I believe, is the plan. And you can see all throughout Europe there's separatist movements now. I'm a huge secessionist. I would say if at first you don't secede, try again. And I want to see 7 billion governments on Earth. So anytime anyone tries to secede from a government, I'm the biggest fan. I think they're going to cause so much chaos. There's going to be a financial collapse happening. I think you know that, right? And many of us know that. So what they're trying to do is create so much chaos before it that they can blame it on, why did the whole world, the economy collapse? Brexit, which makes no sense, but that's what they're going to do. Or they'll blame it on China or whatever it is. But they're trying to create a bunch of chaos right now to mask the fact that this system is bankrupt, it's insolvent, and it's completely unsustainable, and it is going to collapse. And that's actually on purpose. That's how central banking works.
Are you predicting a Scottish referendum and then an exit of Scotland from the UK?
Well, I was a big supporter of the Scottish thing, and there was so much evidence that was played with, and the polls showed that people wanted to actually separate from the UK back during that referendum and didn't go through. So that's why I was surprised by Brexit. But I think they can't stop this movement. They're trying to work around it now. But the more that we talk about this, the more we can get this information out to the people, the more that they will have less and less power no matter what they do, which will be a beautiful thing.
Okay, what happens near term for the EU? You got the Brexit, you have Italian banks in crisis. They're arguing and negotiating about a bailout right now. What do you think is going to happen in the short term?
Like I said, I think they're going to create tons of crises, and I think they're going to blame all this collapse on that. If I was a European and I had all my money in a European bank in euros, I would be running and not walking to get those fiat currency units out of the account and into something tangible, and even getting that outside of the European Union. I think, I know you don't want to talk too much about Bilderberg, but I did go the last few years, And for whatever reason, you don't want to talk.
Okay, go ahead.
But they held it for the first time 2 years in a row in Europe, the last 2 years, which is highly unusual, especially in a U.S. presidential election. So I think the elites, the people who control things, the banksters, are really focused on Europe right now, and that's going to be a bit of the next major crisis for sure, absolutely.
Okay. So thanks for joining me. What's next for the Dollar Vigilante? Where are you headed after this?
Hopefully I can escape the USSA and head back to the land of the free, Mexico. And from there I'm on to Latin America. I'm going to Panama and Nicaragua to check out a few projects and just covering what's going on. Every day it's just really crazy how many things are happening right now. It's like a whirlwind. Most people don't realize that they're watching football or whatever they watch, or the American Idol. But there's really serious things going on right now. There's a massive change, massive shift, a massive crisis on the way. And how we get out of that crisis, and if we can move on to a more decentralized, less centralized, less government solution, we can either have almost paradise on earth. It'll never be paradise. There's always going to be problems. Or we can have tyranny like we've never known it. And that's all going to happen in the next few years.
All right, you heard it from Jeff Berwick. Jeff, you got to come on my other show, Power and Market, sometime.
It'd be my pleasure.
Thanks a lot for coming on. This is Albert Liu at FreedomFest 2016 for my new show, We Are Power and Market, where we cover Bilderberg and other things important to society. Till next time, take care. Hi, I'm Albert Liu, host of the Power and Market Report. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button on the top left of the screen. And don't forget, you can also visit us on Facebook and at powerandmarket.com. Thanks again for watching.